Suddenly, a non-Slavic group called the Magyar show up to terrorize Europe for almost a century. The Magyars are Uralic-speaking pastoralist steppe nomads who themselves are pushed west by other nomadic pastoralist steppe nomads, the Turkic Pechenegs. They probably would have conquered Kievan Rus if they could, but the Kievan Rus were too tough. So the Magyars passed south of Kievan Rus, invaded the Balkans, and attacked the South Slav states of Bulgaria and Croatia. The Byzantine Empire see this as an opportunity. They have clashed repeatedly with Bulgaria, so the Byzantine Empire forms an alliance with the newcomer Magyars against Bulgaria, and Bulgaria, feeling threatened, hooks up with the Turkic Pechenegs. So this will all make sense when we look at the map on the next slide. The animation is super fast, so I'll be talking fast. Apologies in advance. Turkic Khazars and Oghuz Turks push Turkic Pechenegs into Uralic Magyars who invade Bulgaria, then Moravia and Croatia, then conquer stateless South Slavs to make a Magyar stronghold here. Ally with Byzantium, attack Croatia and Bulgaria again, get flanked by Bulgarians and Pechenegs, surge west, and jack all Bulgarian land north of the Danube. Magyars rest for 4 years, making themselves at home on the Carpathian Plain, then punch through Croatia to raid the kingdom of the East Franks. Magyars return, conquer Croatia, eat half of Moravia, work up an appetite by raiding East Francia again, then stick it to the West Slavs by erasing Czech Moravia. Finally, hunker down again in Carpathia. Whew! Magyars not done killing. From their base of operation in the Carpathian Plain, they gallop out with sick archery skills and mount hit-and-run raids across Europe for the next 7 decades. So why aren't they more famous? Answer: Vikings were more terrible for almost 3 centuries. One of those centuries, of course, overlapped. You had a natural division of labor where the Vikings are killing everybody within reach of their longships, and the Magyars are killing everyone within reach of their horses. But even the Vikings weren't the worst villains of medieval history from a European perspective. That title would go to the Muslims. Spanish and the Portuguese fight a 7th century war to drive the Moors off the Iberian Peninsula and punish them for making the Iberian Peninsula the richest and most educated and diverse part of Europe, the only part of Europe to escape the Middle Age decline that Christian-run Europe had endured. Also, we saw a series of crusades launched against Muslims to, in an ultimately futile attempt to take the Holy Land. And lastly, the persistent threat of the Ottoman Empire, which eventually crushes the Byzantine Empire, and we will see later, conquers South Slavs. Fighting between Europe and Muslims continues through the First World War. So Magyars were bad, but not nearly as bad as Vikings, not nearly as bad from a European perspective as Muslims. Also, there was some confusion of Magyars with Huns. Some of this is the Magyars' fault. They claimed that Attila the Hun was one of their ancestors, although there's little evidence of a relationship between them genetically. But they seemed like Huns, and indeed, you've never heard of a Magyar because while they still call themselves Magyars, everyone else calls the Magyars Hungarians. The Magyars mellow a bit, embrace Catholicism, but remain militarily a force to be reckoned with for several centuries. This map of Europe in the year 1000 shows us several new Slavic states: the West Slav Kingdom of Poland, the South Slav Kingdom of Croatia, both culturally close to the Holy Roman Empire. They embrace the Roman alphabet and join the Catholic Church. Bulgaria is growing again at the expense of its neighbors. And hey, look, there's another Bulgaria, Volga Bulgaria. What is going on there? How did the Bulgarians get so far apart? Well, a few centuries before the Bulgarians moved to either location, the Bulgar homeland was over here north of the Black Sea. Some of them went south to the country of Bulgaria, where many of them still are. Others went north to Volga Bulgaria, so named because there's the Volga River. We'll have more to say about the Volga Bulgarians in a bit, but they, under influence from people to the east, the Volga Bulgarians were Muslims. And lastly, of course, we have the Kievan Rus state. Note that Kievan Rus is still here, but they've also got a chunk of coastline on the North Black Sea, a bit of the Crimean Peninsula. The Byzantine Empire still holding on to their part of the Crimean Peninsula. And that concludes part 3.